Okay, day 143, the Awan Brotherhood. This is going to go out to John Nolte of Daily Wire. This is at Nolte NC. John wrote a story recently about Fox News, a wiretap story, and I would like to present him an alternative view of things. I call the series Brotherhoods and Wiretaps. The reason being is Andrew McCabe, going back 20 years, has been doing spying for Hillary. I can prove that through a lot of different FBI whistleblowers, through the Counterterrorism Division in Washington, D.C. Also, these Awans have been in Washington, D.C., these 4 Awan brothers and 2 wives. They've been there for 12 years doing spying for Hillary, and I'll develop out that theory with evidence. So here's the Brotherhoods, wiretaps, top secret access, and foreign nationals. All the folks, the Awans, are from Pakistan. Okay, so here's John Nolte's story saying that the judge has 3 different sources. Of course, they're anonymous sources, so we don't know who in British intelligence may have tapped Trump, but basically that's the idea. And when somebody's really hot on the trail with lots of evidence, this is the kind of thing that you give out to a good journalist, a great journalist like Judge Knapp, and you try to throw them off the trail. But I'll show why why this came out today. It's because of this True Pundit article yesterday, which directly said that Mr. McCabe here at the FBI said F Flynn and then we F Trump, and 2 people said he ordered the wiretap. So you throw this out the next day to throw everybody over here, but actually this is the story. And you look to people who've got a motive and have had previous behavior in covering up the story. He covered up the Hillary server, he covered up the Human server, he dragged his feet, tried to shut the investigation down several times, tried to shard the investigation by bringing the Miami office in, taking quid pro quos from Patrick Kennedy at the State Department, taking $675,000 bribe from longtime Clinton friend Terry McAuliffe, governor of New Jersey, destroying evidence. Got a long history of this. And here's Kallstrom at the FBI saying no grand jury, no subpoenas, no court orders, immunity for all the co-conspirators, all co-conspirators in the same interview. These are crazy things the FBI never does. That's what's happening here. This is the story. This is the hot lead. This is a diversion to a very good journalist, but it's a diversion. So let's look at some more evidence, okay? First, we have a stepmother of the 4, these are 4 Awan brothers and 2 wives, okay? And they, in January, said they were holding her against her will at this home in Springfield, Virginia. She said, not me, the stepmother said they imprisoned her, she hacked the cell phone, and the brothers fled to Pakistan. And they grabbed their father's, which his name's Mohammed Shah, they grabbed her father's computer and took off. They said he was dying, but I still haven't yet to find Mohammed Shah's death certificate anywhere in the United States, dying in January. And she said the brothers were offshoring cash to Pakistan. Now, I do know from Pierre Mohammed Shah's own Facebook page that he has had DynCorp training in the past. And if you follow the series, John, earlier, you'll show where I outlined all the countries where DynCorp has been involved in drug trafficking: Colombia, Kosovo, Haiti, you name it, Pakistan, Afghanistan, etc. Everywhere they do police training, I've established that pattern. Here's Imran's Facebook. Since I took these pictures off his website, he shut his Facebook down. Which is, again, if you're completely innocent, you're living all the way in Pakistan, why do you care what some guy in Oregon says? There's another interesting thing about he has an old Facebook, which has him in Karachi, which is and working at the customs house. And lots of pictures of guns and confidential cigarettes, spy kits, and so forth. And it's just odd, for someone who's working in a government IT job to have that type of paraphernalia on the website. Also, he has a lot of contacts here that seem to think that Imran Khan's last name is Shah. Well, his father was named Shah, Mohammed Shah, so why would Imran change his name to Awan? Why would Ibn Awan change his name? Why would all these folks, especially his sister still thinks her name is Shah. Naeem Shah, Naeem Shah. So I wonder if Imran's real last name is Shah. But anyway, we'll move on. But lots of jihadi type pictures, lots of pictures of the police and so forth. managing the drug routes. Something else that John might not know is there's these Awan brothers, these four brothers and two wives, had access to top secret computer rooms for the three most sensitive departments in the United States: House Intelligence, Homeland Security, and Foreign Affairs. Okay, when they left in a hurry in January, there was also 20 congressional break-ins, 20 offices that were broken into. And now the Capitol Police is investigating this, but for some reason the FBI has chosen not to investigate this. They haven't published any of the pictures of the break-ins. They haven't published any of the server logs for this server, because the Awans also had a separate server, just like Hima, just like Hillary. So they have not published any logs. They've not published their phone records of their whereabouts. They also, one of their brothers, Omar, went to the White House to get visas. They haven't published their visa pictures. Normally, if there's an escape after a burglary, you want to publish those things, publish those pictures. You also look for people who have top secret access. Here's Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Jackie Spear getting the Awan brothers top secret access, as well as their wife. You also look for patterns of who employed these people. Well, it turns out they were all arranged by Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and they're 31 House Democrats, and they all seem to have histories of corruption. So this isn't me saying this is crew. This is the people that watch corruption in Washington. And you also look for large amounts of money being transferred. And here's $4 million being paid to the Awans. So that's they're making 3 times. All the Awans are making 3 times the median, or 2.5 to 3 times the median for a congressional staffer. So it tells me that there's not a lot of folks. They didn't certainly. Over 12 years, I think there's going to be more congressional staffers there. Some of them only, this one, Jamal, only worked there 1 year, and he was making 3 times the median. So, again, doesn't look good. We know who the people are, who they worked for. They all worked for the same, in the same building. So that Longworth building, congressional office building, is directly across the street from the U.S. Capitol. We had 9/11, they hit the Pentagon, we put a lot of cameras in, we put a lot of security. All of them would have security badges, would be able to see when they clocked in and when they clocked out. Also, they would be on, when they did that, we'd be able to look at the film, the security camera film, to see when they went in. When their cars went into the parking lot, their license plates would have been photographed. None of this information has been put out by the FBI, or the Capitol Police for that matter. We also look at odd businesses that they were running. They seem to have 2 car dealerships that seem to be funneling money offshore. They had this mortgage company called Avalon Mortgage. Their car dealership was actually called CIA Cars International, and for some reason they felt compelled to add an A on the end of it. So those are things you look at. You also look at things like foreign nationals living at the same house in Hawkshead Drive here in Lorton. Folks like Mohammed Hunsla, who just happened to be a cell phone tapping expert. He worked for Lightbridge Communications, who does top secret clearance projects for people like DISA, doing wiretapping. We also have other congressmen that said that they were wiretapped. So the other thing that you can look at is motive, and you can look at people involved in Pakistan over the period of years, like Gulen, who set up a Pakistan to Turkey Midnight Express or drug rat line, and you can start looking into those connections. You can look at people like Reza Zarab, who were arrested running that drug line and are currently in jail right now in New York City running that Pakistan to Turkey drug line. So there's lots of contacts here in the U.S., like Muzaffar Awan, who is the head publisher for Gulen in the United States. Gulen used teachers as fronts, CIA fronts, in 5 different, all over Central Asia, 5 different countries in Central Asia, 6 in Turkey as well as Pakistan. Now he has 140 of these all over the world, so including the United States, mainly in the Midwest, but also Texas and Florida. You can also look at these congressional aides' previous connections to Hezbollah-connected fugitives like Dr. Attar and so forth. Later, I'll develop out the Russia connection and how they were involved in the Russia negotiations as well, but not for right now. There's other connections to doctors. This Surya Begum. It's like Bigum, but it's Begum. She's a doctor with the VA in Maryland, but for some reason she felt compelled to be in a business with the Awans called Nanoset Technology, which is a government contractor that does routers and switches and so forth that you would use to do data centers, that you would put in top secret data centers in the Washington, D.C. area. So that's something that you might look at. They also felt compelled to get into this business called New Dawn, which I believe is a publishing company. Interesting connection. Just wouldn't think that an opium doctor from Bangladesh over here on the other side of India would be involved with Pakistanis for in those businesses, in addition to her job as a VA doctor. The Pakistan drug route here is a well-known route. It's called the Golden Route, and this Gulen was very instrumental in setting this route up, or in enabling this route. But he also helped set up this route, this northern route through Uzbekistan and Tajikistan when the Afghan war broke out. And that is, if you had a falling out with the person who ran Turkey, you would need to do these routes. Now, if these routes were cut off to you for some reason, you would have to fly, maybe establish a airline and fly those over to Bangladesh and have those packed in some kind of, let's say, garments or something that you were exporting to the United States, and you'd need some other kind of cover to get in the United States. You might want to go from Karachi here at the Customs House over to Dhaka. You can find that connection coming up. But anyway, we won't go into that. That'll be for later episodes. But I do want to say here that going back through, this is his Facebook. It says Lorton, Virginia. This Imran Awan cites Lorton, Virginia. He's the one who had the old profile with Karachi Customs House. This is the building they worked in, where there is photos available that they've chosen not to publish. His father was named Shah. Okay, his sister still thinks her last name is Shah. So I believe the Awans are a cover for a drug running cover. It's kind of like giving Mossad agents the last name of Braverman. And I really believe his name is Imran Shah. That's all for this morning.